Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to make a card using this Made to Surprise, Made to Make, Maker's Edition 1. I've subscribed to the whole year, so I'm going to try and make something for you from each one that I get. So in this box, which you get quarterly, I believe, and it's really well packaged so you can have it in your stash or on the shelf, so that you have everything in the box. I've taped mine up on the bottom because the postman was a bit heavy-handed with it. You get in the box a little booklet which gives you some ideas of what to make. You get a embossing folder, some dies, some stamps and some papers. Okay, so I've had a bit of a think and I'm going to use this paper from pack. So this comes with the pack. I've pulled some gold card from my own stash and I'm going to lay that up on there just to pull the gold from the sunflowers out a little bit. I like the idea of putting it onto the main card base being this blue. I think that goes quite nicely with the clouds, and I also like the idea of embossing some of the mushrooms, so I might include that somewhere on the front of the card. I have taken this gnome, this sunflower and this sentiment a friend like gnome other that I intend to stamp, and the gnome and the sunflower I will colour with alcohol markers. Okay, so I've coloured in the gnome and the sunflower, and to do that I've used these colours. Okay, I'm happy with the colouring on those. I'm now going to put it back into my stamping platform and stamp it with Versafine Clair. Again, that's instantly given me a really strong black outline. So I'm going to set that aside to dry. So I've stamped the sentiment in Versafine Clair Black. Okay, so while they dry, we're going to assemble the card. So I like to do that backwards sometimes, so I know that I want this on the front. So what I will do, I will make the card based on the size of this panel. So I will mat and layer this up, and then I will put something behind it, and then eventually when I've got my topper panel how I want it, I will then make the card base to the size to fit it. As I say, I want this on this gold. So this panel is slightly smaller than 5 7/8 by 4 1/8. So I'm going to go 1/8 bigger, just shorter than 6. I'm going to go 4 1/4. That gives me about a 1/16 of an inch around the patterned panel. So I've stuck that on there with some Collall, and that's given me a nice little border. So I folded my piece of blue A4 card into half, and I'm thinking about putting this on a top fold. So I think I'm going to cut this down. I'm going to cut that down to 6 1/4 by 4 1/2. I'm going to layer that onto the card blank. I'm going to stick that on now. I was going to use this embossed mushroom behind, but the pre-made panel is actually wider, and I didn't check that before I started. So I'm going to stick this on here, and then I'm going to cut some of these embossed mushrooms out and pop them at the base of this cluster of flowers, and then I'm going to cut out the gnome and the sunflower, and we will put them on. Okay, so out of the embossed sheet I've cut free some of the toadstools, conscious that they are in blue. So I have a wild mushroom prison ink pad and a red brick. So I'm going to use some little brushes to try and colour those up. So those are coloured, and with a white gel pen I'm going to go in and make the toadstool dots white. So I'm happy with those. I'm going to set those aside to dry. So I've cut out my gnome and the flower, which the plan is for him to be holding aloft, and I will trim that to fit. I've got my mushrooms, which I'm going to sit in this bottom right corner, and then I have cut out and layered the sentiment onto the same blue as the card blank and the gold, and that is going to go in the top left. Put a little nick in to lift his hand up, and then I'm going to slide that behind so that it looks like he's holding on to it. So I'm going to stick that in there with some quick grab glue. It looks like he's holding that, and I'm going to nip that off at his feet. And I'm going to stick him down the bottom there with some quick grab glue. Now let's put these. I'm going to have these two stuck straight onto the panel, and then I'm going to pop this one up onto some foam. I'm going to put this onto some foam as well, and I think we'll have that just to the left of the sun on the panel. This is a finished card. Now I'm holding a sunflower with some of the mushrooms that I've cut from the sheet that we did in the embossing folder. So all of this has come from the Maker's Edition #1 of the Made to Make from Made to Surprise by Sam Calcott. So if you've enjoyed today's video, please do consider giving it a like and subscribing if you haven't already done so. I do like making content for you, and by doing those two things you do really help the channel out, so I would be very grateful. Thank you as always for watching, and I shall see you next time.